Hello, it's me again. Today I'm going to show you how to turn your Jetson Nano or NX into a HMI Scada server. So the software we're going to be using is called Ignition Maker Edition. Now, in my full-time job, my day job, I'm a controls technician. So I use like the professional version of Ignition as my work, and it's a pretty powerful tool. So, but the people at Inductive Automation were nice enough to make a maker edition of their software. So let's get going with it. So here's the page. This kind of gives you a rundown of what it does. You know, it's like an easy, fun, and free. I like that. It's pretty powerful software, and you'll see. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to install it, and we're going to make a tiny little application and just to get going and stuff. And then I'll make sure I leave all my links and everything so you guys can do this all yourself. So this is basically it, you know, all the things. You get modules, and they have a very nice tutorials of their own, so I recommend all that, and I'll point you to all that. So let's go ahead and get this started. So we need to download it. I've already got an account. You create an account, but I've already got one. And then let's see, sign in. And the password. And this will allow us to download the software we're going to need. So it brings us to this page. And so first of all, we have to generate a key when we run the Maker Edition, so we'll do that later. But right now we're going to download the software we need. I want other version. And then it comes to this page. And the one we want is the ARM version. Now there's two versions here. There's you can put the Edge one, so you can turn your Jetson into a Edge device, or you can use this one, and this is the HMI server that we're going to install on there. So we'll pick this one, do a little fill out. I'm going to pause for a minute while I get this filled out. And as you can see, we're downloading it right here. So once we got it downloaded, there's a couple things we have to do to begin with. First of all, this is a 32-bit program, and we are, you know, the Nano is a 64-bit, and then we have to install Java. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install some things in there to help us. Let's see, here we go. To run a 32-bit application on the Nano. So we do this. Like I say, I'll put links to all of this. Update, and like I say, I'll pause. I'm gonna pause a lot when you know, so you don't have to watch all this stuff do its thing. Okay, and we do this next. And like I say, this is just so we can run the 32-bit applications on the Jetson Nano. Alright, so we're done preparing it, and so the next thing we're going to go to the install page for installing the ARM installation on the Nano. So the first thing we got to do is, since we already downloaded it, we need to install Java. That's the Java 8, so we'll need to run that. So what we'll do is I'll show you. I went to here, and we're going to follow these instructions right here. And I'll put a link to this. Now this installs 11 and 8, and you'll see. So we'll update it. Come on. Pause that while it updates. And then we run this. What's going on with you? Why are you being a booger? Alright, now we're going to check our version. We should have installed 11. Yes. Now we're going to install 8. So we already updated it, so we don't need to update it again. Now we'll install 8. Put a little pause on this. So we make sure we install that one. 8. Oh, 11. And then did we get 8? Anyway, so we're going to check and see what we got. We need to set our default version. So we're going to go to here. See, we got 8, 11, 11. So I'm going to set my default version to 8. Put a 2 there and enter. So I've set it to 8. So we're golden there. So we're going to move on. So we moved on back to the installation page. So now what we're going to do is we've installed Java 8. Now we're going to install the ignition program we got, and we're going to install it in a location user local ignition. So you can see we do it right here. I've got, where I got it from, and this is where I'm putting it. Ooh, permission denied. There we go. Need a little sudo. So that is pretty good. We'll pause. So we're going to CD into that folder. And then we need some file permissions. Need to put a little sudo in there. Sudo. And then same thing with this one. And then you see this one right here. This doesn't exist in the folder we downloaded, but another one exists. So we're going to install that one instead. We're going to, so we go this, copy, sudo, paste. We don't want this. And we're going to go find it. There we go. Computer, user, local, ignition, and GWC, that's the one we're going to do instead. So we'll do GWCH, GWCH, no, GWCMD.sh. Okay, so we did that one. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start it. Okay, once you run this command, you should get this response. Okay, and this tells us that it's now running as a service. So we're going to go ahead and reboot the Nano, and we log back into this folder, and it should be running. So it's running. So we're good. So once we do that, go right here, and this will bring us to the server. And then here, this is where we choose like what we're going to do, and we're going to use the Maker Edition. This is the full-blown version, and this is the Edge version. And if you pick these, they only have a 2-hour like trial period that you run. You have to constantly reset. But we're going to use the Maker Edition. I agree. So we need to generate a license and keys for this, which we will. You have to go back to where are we at? I've already got a. Oh. So this is, we're going to generate a key for this. I already got 2 keys going, so we're going to just reuse this one. Manage this one. I need to regenerate the token. So when we just copy this, copy, load it in there, and copy this. See, and then it'll verify it. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for us to do this. So we're verified it, and then we move on. Username, Jovi, password. Got to remember this stuff because you're going to need it to log on later. And next. Oh, what do we got? And this is our ports we're going to use. And then we're going to start the gateway. Now, sometimes I'm going to click this. Sometimes it takes about like, I don't know, 90 seconds or something like that. So be patient with this one. So we start it. I'm going to pause it while it does it. All right. So that took about like maybe 2 minutes or something like that. But once you do it, this is the server. And this is all the things that they have you can do there. Like, I really recommend this. They have a Inductive University tutorials on how to do a lot of things with this, and I do believe that really the only difference between maybe the Ignition guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the difference between this and the full-blown version is just the tags you have to work with. In the full-blown version, you can purchase like unlimited tags, and a tag is basically data points you can associate to the server. So, but with the Maker Edition, you get a limited amount of tags, and trust me, you don't when the hobbyist things and the things you're going to do with the Maker Edition, you'll never run out of tags. There's more than enough. Sorry about that. I had to deal with the dogs. Anyway, so you can build it. You have designer where you're going to build your applications, and then run it where you can run your projects. And basically, the designer, since the Nano's the server pretty much, the designer has to be run from not the server. So you can run it from basically anything, a Windows, Linux machine. And we're going to do that next. We're going to make a very small, simple application. And then you run it, you view your projects, and you run them. And they basically run in any web browser. So you can run them, basically any web browser that can get to your network. Run them on the phone and all that stuff. So, and then we're going to go into like the server, look at the status of it. We got to log in. So basically, this is the status of the server. It tells us all the things like we can hook up databases, devices, network connections, OPC connections, like all this stuff. Like I say, this is like, you know, a lot of stuff. And then what we do is we're going to go to configure, and this is where we configure the server.
Nope.
Okay, so this is where we configure it. Now these are all the things you can do to it, and the one I'm going to use the most is the device connections. We're gonna. By the way, I'm gonna do a couple videos on this. I'm gonna explain kind of more on this, and we're gonna use, like, one of the ones I'm gonna do is we're gonna use Node Red, and we're going to use this and Node Red, and we're going to run the GPIO pins on the Nano. And then I'm going to try and do some with the PLC, and I'm going to try and do some with setting up the database. But here's one. Like, if you got PLCs, you know, you have all these connections that you can run to your PLC. And then you can associate these tags you pull out of your PLC with, you know, buttons and gauges and stuff in the designer. I mean, there's just a myriad of things you can do. I mean, I can't even come close to, like, explaining all the things that it does. So I would recommend was go to Ignition Maker and look at the Ignition website and kind of look at how they explain it. So anyway, so we got this going, and so the server's running. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to my develop machine, and we're going to develop a small application. So, bye. Anyway, so I moved over to my develop machine. Now, basically any machine, Windows, Ubuntu, Linux, anything where you can access the server, because we put this in, and I've accessed the server on the Nano right here. So, and then I'm going to get the designer, and what this does is this will design our thing, and it actually, we can load it. There's, like, you know, Windows, whichever one you're doing. All you need is a web browser. So we're going to download it for Linux, okay. And then I've already downloaded a bunch of these, so, you know. And then you unpack it. You see I downloaded all of them. I unpack it, and then just double click, and this launches it, and it'll put an icon on there. No, it won't put an icon. This one launches this, and this is okay. It says it can't find my one, so we're going to delete this one and go get the one that's on the Nano. So we're going to delete this, delete it. What it is I have a different IP address. So we're going to add the designer. This is the IP address of my Nano. We're going to add the gateway. That's what they call it, the gateway. See, all it is just change this. We're going to launch and create the designer. You can see down here we've got a little icon now. Kind of don't need this anymore. What's this? Close that. Close that. And then log in. We don't need this. Let's minimize this. And it says we don't have any current projects, so we're going to make a new project. And we're going to call this, I don't know, first. Project title, first one. Default, that's just a default thing. Just leave it default. The database, if we were to add a database, I'm gonna do a tutorial on how to add MySQL to this, and then all these other things are here, and just default. Create a new project. And it brings up this, and this is our designer. Now, for anybody that's like done any programming, this is kind of a familiar look. Generally, you know, you got your properties, your tag browsers. Now, this is your tag browser right here. Now, if you have any inputs or any data that are coming in from outside, they show up here. You know, and there's ways to, like, you know, add them. a new tag, you know, new data type, and you can put all kinds of stuff in here. So, but this is for another day. We're going to do a very simple one today that just associates some, you know, components together. And here, there's all this, you know, perspective. That's what they call the where we're going to be designing in. There's all kinds of things here. You can do like scripting. This runs Jython. You know, if you guys like to script in Python, or you know, run. It's just like I can't even explain all the things it does. It's better just to go look and see what it does. But we're going to make a very simple application here and then deploy it. So create a new view. Default it to this. Create a view. And it brings up this, and we need to drag a component in there. We're going to use like a simple gauge, and then we're going to use a slider. Oh, LED display. Let's put that in there. Can't have too many of those. And then let's see, a slider. I mean, you can embed a video player in here. I mean, this is all kinds of stuff. Buttons, bar scanning input, you know, everything. So where's my slider? So we're basically right now just going to associate the properties of this slider to like this gauge and to this number. So to do that, we click on this. Let's close out this because that's covering up our properties tag. And these are the properties of this component. So basically, here's the value. So you know, I just put a 2 in there. You can see the 2 shows up in there. You know, we don't want that. We want to associate that to this. So we go right here. There's no binding. We're going to bind to somebody, and this is where you can bind all the data that comes in to this server. I mean, there's all kinds of things: direct tag, indirect tag, expressions, properties, expression structures. We can do queries, tag history, HTTP. I don't know what that means, but I don't know how to work this, but you know, it looks cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a property. We're going to associate this to a property of the slider. So we go over here and we look in here. This is our view page, and this is all our components. So here's the slider, props, value. So we're associating it to the slider value. Same thing with this. We're going to associate this to the slider. Property of the slider, props, value. And then we can give it a little test right here. Go up here and give it a test. You know, so we'll see, it works. Now we're going to deploy this. We shut this off. And then we're going to deploy this. Save. And file, update project. Okay. Now, when we do that, if we go back to, I'm going to kind of minimize this. If we go back to our, log back into the server here, and we go home, because we're on the server, we've logged into the server of the Nano. Go home, and we want to view our projects. Hey, it says we got one, first one. So we'll launch it. And a lot of times this will make an icon on your desktop where, you know, you don't have to do this. Just click the icon. Agree. See? So now any web browser, you know, can do this. And this can actually be done, you know, you can do it on the server too. You can run this on that. And then I've actually got it. I can run it on my phone. Let me see if I can get this to work. Any web browser that can access the server can run this program. Let's see, here we go. Let me pause this. See, I don't know if you can, how well you can see that. Let's see if you can get it. There. You see it's on my phone. See if I can mess this up. So any way you can access the server, you can run it on. And then, so right now it's on the local network. You can set this up to run, from anywhere. I'll do a tutorial on that. You used to use like Cisco AnyConnect, and you'll be able to run it from like anywhere in the world and stuff like that. So let's stop this for a minute, and I guess that's about it. Let's see, did it put an icon out there? Generally, it puts an icon on your desktop. You can do that so you don't have to launch it from this page. And then I guess that's pretty much it. We're gonna minimize this and go back to our designer. And where's our designer? There. So this is designer, and what's neat about this is anytime you make a, let me see, let's do this. Hold on. Where's that at? Hold on. Anyway, one of the neat things about you have to update your project a lot of times, and so this makes it really easy because this automatically updates. Like, here's my project running on the server, and let's say I want to make changes. I want to put I don't know what I want to put here. I want to put something simple, a pie. Nope, too big. Can we make it smaller? Okay, so we just added that. Okay, now once we save it, see, as soon as you save it, immediately updates your project. I mean, how cool is that? So you can immediately update anything that's running automatically anywhere just by clicking it. So that's pretty cool. But I guess that's about it. So like I say, I'm going to have more tutorials on how to kind of do more stuff. But I just wanted to let everybody kind of, if they wanted to get it running on their system, so so you can start messing around with it. So this is a pretty neat tool, especially to run on a $99 Jetson Nano. All right, thank you.